Hello. Hi, Anna. Just to check, do you hear me?
Yes, we hear you.
You do? Okay, perfect. Just because I had a bit of a issue with my microphone lately, so good that it's working. Wonderful.
Okay. Thank you. Hello, everybody. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you are connecting from. Welcome. This is our online session called Why the UN is Talking About Karst and Why Cavers Should Care. Insights from the United Nations Environment Assembly, UNEA-7. We are thrilled to have you here, either if you are a caver, you are a show cave manager, probably you are a speleologist, or you are representing a speleological organization, or you are a show cave manager, or just a person interested in how on-the-ground environments intersect with policy. So, in fact, why don't you let us know through the YouTube chat where you are connecting from, so we can start having a sense of who is with us today. Meanwhile, I will start giving you information about how this event is going to develop. The first part, as you already may know, we will have a brief introduction from Bärbel Vogel. She is the president of the German Speleological Federation, who will frame the importance of this event. Then we will have 4 presentations of 12 minutes each, and we will introduce the person that is going to be presenting just before they come to us. We will have 2 sessions of Q&A in the middle of the 2 first presentations, and then 1 at the end. And for the second part of this event, we will have a panel discussion with distinguished participants, and we will have a second round of Q&A, so you can ask also questions to them. So having said this, I want to pass the floor to Bärbel so she can give us a warm welcome, and let's start with this event. Thank you very much.
Hello, everybody. A very warm welcome on behalf of the German Speleological Federation to our online session on the United Nations Environmental Assembly, UNEA-7, its landmark resolution on karst ecosystems, and the speleological involvement. We are especially proud that we can welcome today so many experts from different organizations, countries, and fields, and thank you so much for your support. Karst landscapes are vital geo-ecosystems supporting unique biodiversity, geoheritage, and essential water resources for millions of people worldwide. At UNEA-7, our federation played a key role supporting the resolution focused on karst conservation and sustainable use, a major step forward in global recognition. So let's discuss speleological involvement. We look forward to your insights and your questions. I wish all of you a great time. Thank you very much. Dear ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests and friends of the underground, it is a great honor for me to address you today as president of the German Speleological Federation. I want to show you where speleology can make a difference in the United Nations systems and guide you through the different possibilities and perspectives. The UN is made up of member states, but organizations can actively engage through 2 main channels. The United Nations Environment Programme focuses on global environment policies and action, and the Economic and Social Council, ECOSOC, oversees the Sustainable Development Goals, SDGs. Civil society plays a vital role in advancing environmental protection and sustainability, and that's why the UN actively supports and encourages organizations' involvement in these areas. There are key events shaping the global agenda, like the United Nations Environment Assembly, hosted by the UNEP in Nairobi every 2 years, setting global environmental priorities, and the high-level political forum on sustainable development, held annually by ECOSOC in New York City, reviewing processes on the Sustainable Development Goals. And of course, there are UN conferences and summits, such as the UN Water Conference, organized by ECOSOC to address critical global challenges. The United Nations group organizations by thematic clusters, such as business and industry, children and youth, farmers, indigenous peoples and their communities, local authorities, non-government organizations, the scientific and technology community, women, workers and trade unions. The German Speleological Federation is a member of the non-government organization Major Group, because our nature protection umbrella organization, European Environmental Bureau, was located there. But speleology organizations may also fit in the scientific and technology community Major Group. Regarding sustainability, every year different sustainable development goals are reviewed, like water this year. Some member states, such as Brazil, have to submit voluntary national reports this year. The major groups contribute to preparing input on both the goals and the reports during their monthly online meetings. They are also active in regional forums held on every continent. Their position papers are officially published at the High-Level Political Forum on Sustainable Development. While opportunities for oral input are always very limited, major groups have been able to organize side events in the past. The United Nations Environment Programme also has its own network of major groups, structured in the same way as in the Sustainable Development process. The German Speleological Federation is a member of the NGO major group at UNEP as well. The work there is a bit different, with a wide range of topics. For example, environmental aspects of minerals and metals are discussed during special events and news is shared online. Resolutions to be debated at the United Nations Environmental Assembly are made public just a few months before the event, and major groups work hard to support them. There's also the Global Environmental Outlook, UNEP's flagship report on the state of the planet. This is where new scientific findings can be shared. The 7th edition, the GU7, was the first to include contributions from speleology. If you like to learn more, just visit our website www.karst-aware.org. You've probably noticed that UN conferences work quite differently from scientific ones. Position papers are often negotiated right up until the last minute of the event, and the work on statements and priorities starts months in advance. The next major event where speleology should engage will be the UN Water Conference in December this year. That's why we are looking for experts who want to join our group and help provide input on karst aquifers during online meetings and for the final statement. In 2023, at the first UN Water Conference, we were just able to provide a written input which can be found online. If we want to provide meaningful input on caves and karst, we need solid data. That's why back in 2022, the UIS General Assembly decided to collect data from its members. The French Federation of Speleology created an environmental outlook on caves and karst in France, a concise and just 3-page policy brief. The European Cave and Karst Protection Commission adopted this approach and is encouraging all its members to get involved. And soon, the UIS Karst and Cave Protection Commission will be requesting this kind of general data from members to be published on the future website. In Germany, we've been tracking the numbers of lost caves that have already been destroyed. So we documented our 4.7% loss of all registered caves, which is really a lot. When looking for partners outside speleology, I want to start by highlighting the exceptional role of the European Environmental Bureau, or EEB. It's the umbrella organization for nature protection groups across Europe and hosts a working group on international governance. Patrizia Heidegger chairs this group. She's my personal hero. Without her guidance, we would have been completely lost in this system. She will be presenting the EB and her work a bit later on. Major groups also support each other. For example, Mohammed is here today for our panel discussion, representing the Scientific and Technology Community Major Group. One exception in the major group system is the NGO major group working on sustainability. It hosts different thematic clusters. Back in 2018, the Animal Issues thematic cluster provided us with a supporting letter to attend the high-level political forum and even shared an information booth with us. Thanks to their support, we were able to present videos and flyers on cave animals inside the famous UN building, the same one where the UN General Assembly debates takes place. Within Speleology, you can find support through the Transnational Working Group on International Governance of the German Speleological Federation. Of course, we assist speleologists representing us at conferences, such as Jörg Dreibrot, who participated in the 2023 Regional Forum on Sustainable Development in Geneva. The Karst and Cave Protection Commission of the International Union of Speleology also hosts a working group focused on international organizations. Additionally, the IUCN, the International Union for the Conservation of Nature, with its World Commission on Protected Areas, has a Caves and Karst specialist group. The IUCN is the world's leading network for protected areas and a key partner in our field. You will hear more about this from Sophie, who will be joining our panel later on. And yes, we need help. Please join us. Join us and get involved in cave and karst protection, from the national to regional and international level. Every level is important, and if you need support, just let us know. In the picture you see Ferdinando Di Donna from Italy, who represented the German Speleological Federation at UNEA-7 in Nairobi in 2024. Thank you very much for your attention in this special topic. And I really hope we will inspire you to get engaged in politics. It can be fun, really.
Okay, thank you very much, Bärbel. The invitation is open, 2 invitations, in fact. First, let us know where you are connecting from in the chat box of YouTube. Please also start putting your questions for Bärbel and also for our next presenter. It is really important that you get engaged with all the topics that we are going to be speaking today, because no matter what is your background, there is one way where you can support caves and karst protection. So with this, I want to say thank you. We have a great privilege to have Patrizia Heidegger. She is the Deputy General Secretary of the European Environmental Bureau. And yes, my hero too. We as speleologists, we need a lot of support from all these umbrella organizations to know better how to act in the forums, in these international forums. So I really thank Patrizia for giving us some of her time today to give us this presentation about the influence of nature protection stakeholders. The floor is yours, Patrizia.
Thank you so much, Anna, and also Bärbel, for all the kind words, and especially for having me. Just a practical question. Do you want me to share my slides or will you do that for me?
Yes, please share your slides, Patrizia.
Okay, give me a sec. I'm just opening them up for you and we will start right away. Okay. Okay, coming. So here we are. Okay, I think now you should see it properly. Sorry for the little delay. So yeah, thank you again so much for the invitation to this also kind of debrief of what happened at UNEA-7 around Karst, but also kind of Skillshare and learning from that experience. So yeah, I'm happy to share some kind of more background information for you around how, as nature protection stakeholders, we can actually influence what happens at a UN Environment Assembly and related international fora. So as Bärbel already said, I work with the European Environmental Bureau, and we're the largest federation of environmental organizations in the European region, bringing together nearly 200 very diverse environmental organizations, including with very...
Patricia, sorry for interrupting you.
Yes.
Can you put the presentation more in display complete? In the top of in the menu on the top it says display settings.
I have done that, but
because we are seeing the two slides.
It doesn't show. Okay. Okay. How can I change that? Wait. Let me see.
In the top, you have a display settings. The top menu.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Oh. Okay.
Is that better?
There you go. There you go.
Okay, yeah. Perfect. Sorry, I didn't know that. Okay, great. So so we're this large federation of environmental organizations across the region, and we also, one of our tasks is to encourage and help environmental organizations from our region, our members, but also others, to get engaged in the UNEA process. And I'm also one of two regional facilitators for the European region, together with my colleague Oksana from Ukraine. And our job is really to support all organizations interested in what's happening at the UN Environment Assembly to get engaged, to understand the process, and to eventually have an impact of what's being discussed and decided at a UNEA. So I just wanted to share a bit of background information about, well, how that works, and kind of what kind of experiences we have in trying to influence the agenda and the outcomes of a UN Environment Assembly. So UNEA, as we've heard, is really the world's top decision-making body for environmental matters. All of the UN member states are members of UNEA and participate. So it's therefore often called the World Parliament of the Environment, even though it's more like, I mean, it's governments convening, not elected parliamentarians, but it's really, it has this universal membership, and all the countries of the world are there. And what's really interesting about UNEA is that it's really the place where global environmental priorities are defined, where emerging issues are probably discussed for the first time at this kind of universal level, where also new initiatives are taken to further develop international environmental law and policies. where guidance for the UN Environment Programme and the work program of UNEP comes from. We've already heard it. UNEA meets every other year in Nairobi, the headquarters of the UN Environment Programme and the environmental capital of the world, as UNEP likes to call it. Usually with thousands of delegates from governments, experts, and civil society. It was established by the Rio +20 conference in 2012 and replaced the governing council of the UN Environment Programme, really making it this universal body. And UNEA focuses on all of the environmental issues or the triple environmental crises: climate, biodiversity loss, pollution issues, and all related issues. Each session has a guiding theme, but it's usually quite broad, so that you will see that during each UN Environment Assembly, you have quite a wealth of topics that are being discussed. Now, what are usually the UNEA outcomes? So we will be talking more about the resolution on Karst, of course, today, but resolutions are one of the key outcomes of UNEA on different pressing environmental issues. For instance, we've seen quite a variety of resolutions in previous UNEAs on topics around chemicals and waste, biodiversity, sustainable consumption, circular economy, pollution control, and other topics. The resolutions are not binding, legally binding legal texts, but they have a quite important political weight. So, for instance, the fact that for instance, the topic of karst and cave environments has been proposed as a topic for a resolution carries a big political weight, even where then the resolutions as such are not legally binding laws. The UN Environment Assembly also takes decisions, for instance, on the UNEP's work program and budget. There's also a ministerial declaration, which is kind of a very high-level political statement that in a way captures the consensus amongst all the governments and is also a bit of a tone-setting instrument for future negotiations. UNEA can also lead to the development of new global frameworks. So, for instance, in 2022, a UNEA resolution basically started or kickstarted the negotiations for a legally binding treaty on plastic pollution, which is currently under negotiation. But then, of course, UNEA also does other things. It provides guidance to the UN Environment Programme, what kind of issues it should focus on. It also fosters collaboration between member states, but also civil society, the private sector, around its topics. These are the typical outcomes of UNEA. Now, how to engage in this and how to have an impact. In general, there is a commitment by UNEA to be participatory, transparent, and inclusive in all of the decision-making on global environmental issues. So that's an invitation for all of us, for scientists, for practitioners, for activists, for all kinds of stakeholders to be engaged and get engaged in the process. Bärbel has already mentioned the 9 major groups that are represented at UNEA, and every organization can kind of find a home with one of the major groups, which then also acts as a kind of a channel to agree on joint positions, to do joint activities, etc. There's also a lot of collaboration between the major groups around events and around kind of taking positions in the negotiation process, which is often very exciting because, let's say, as environmental organizations, we then have the opportunity to discuss our issues with farmers or local authorities or the trade unions and to come to much stronger joint positions. What we usually have to prepare for UNEA, both in terms of capacity building, but also for already building our joint positions, is a series of consultations across the major groups. We organize them at the level of regions, but also at the level of major groups. to start building our positions early on. Before UNEA itself, dialogue with governments is also really important because it's the governments that obviously propose resolutions. So it's important to kind of be in touch with governments who are likely to bring certain topics to UNEA, to encourage them to bring certain topics to UNEA, and then to try and have an impact on how they bring topics to UNEA, and to have an influence on the draft resolutions and eventually on the final outcomes. We then work on joint statements or positions or recommendations that are shared with governments ahead of UNEA and during UNEA, to have an impact on the outcome documents. And then during UNEA, of course, there's a lot of engagement possible. There's a lot of bilateral interaction between stakeholder groups and certain governments that are proposing resolutions, for instance. We can do statements in the plenary meetings. We can intervene during the negotiations themselves. We can get involved through side events and our green room events, which are events organized by civil society. We can run parallel campaigns. There's the Global Major Groups and Stakeholder Forum, which is like the central networking and get-together moment for all the assembled stakeholders during UNEA itself. So just to give you an example from our organization, how we kind of went about UNEA-7. So you will see that there's usually a very long list of topics on a UNEA agenda, and there's no way you can have any impact on all of them. So depending on how much resources an organization has, you have to, of course, focus on specific issues. Obviously, for those of you working on karst and cave environments, of course, the focus was very clear with the draft resolution on the very topic. For us as a broader organization, we basically picked 4 topics that are very close to our mandate and our members' interests. So we decided to focus on 4 draft resolutions. There was one on environmental crimes, a topic that is very important for us as an organization. Then, of course, supporting our colleagues from the Speleologists Federation on the karst ecosystems. And then we also worked on a resolution on glacier meltdown and on metals and minerals extraction, which also has a very close link, of course, to the underground environment and its potential destruction. So we usually decide on a kind of quite narrow focus for each UNEA to be able to focus on having an impact on those. And then we also organized like a series of events around UNEA. So we got involved in several green room events to raise awareness and to bring certain topics to the UNEA space, also because it's really like this place where the world convenes on environmental issues. So it's also a good place to raise quite specific issues or emerging issues where maybe there's very little awareness. And I guess the topic of karst and cave ecosystems is one where even within the environmental movement and stakeholders working for nature protection, there's still a lot of need for capacity building. I remember I was talking to quite some people at UNEA about the resolution on karst, and a lot of people didn't know what karst is and what it means. So I think UNEA is also this great place where you can raise awareness and build capacity about the issues that you're experts on in a community that's obviously very open and interested in learning more. It's a perfect place to organize these events, which we did. So we organized a list of events on different issues, organized bilateral meetings with governments like the German government or the Austrian government. And we helped to co-organize the Global Major Groups and Stakeholder Forum. So I think these were kind of some of the main points I wanted to share, but basically also to encourage you, if you're interested in the UNEA process, I'm always happy if you reach out to us and to me, given that I have that role of regional facilitator in the region. I'm really here to help you understand the process and to make sure you get on mailing lists if you want to be more involved in the UNEA process. or want to be involved in capacity building or also strategy meetings around the next one coming up. So very happy to be contacted and very happy to answer any questions that you might have. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Patrizia. I would really appreciate your giving us some time of your values time. We have a question, at least I can see here one question. First of all, let me just mention briefly that we have connected people from Slovakia, from the Basque Country, from the US, from Iraq. We have people from Indonesia connected and following us, also from Kenya. And we have the Spanish Federation of Speleology, who was really supportive for us during UNEA also. We have to say this. We have people from India. And speaking of the Spanish Federation of Speleology, there is one question that probably can be for both of you. I will start with you, Patrizia. How much support from inside and outside speleology is there at the moment? I think here you could focus from how do you see it from your the organization that you represent? How much participation from speleology is there going on as it is your own perspective?
Yes, thank you so much. And is that specifically with regards to UNEA, right? The question.
Yeah. I believe so. They don't mention, but this is the Spanish Speleological Federation. I guess they will be interested also because they have been following us a lot and supporting in all the speleological participation at the UN. But let's focus on how do you see it in UNEA?
Yeah, thanks a lot for the question. So I mean, I think we were all kind of surprised when Indonesia came forward with the draft resolution on karst and cave environments, because I think we were not aware of any government working on this at the UNEA level. And then when we learned about this, then I think you guys, so that's Bärbel and you, Anna, and others, I mean, you kind of mobilized really quickly and made sure you were able to get involved super fast and to kind of super quickly find your ways around how to get engaged at UNEA. And I think that was really fascinating to see how you kind of really jumped onto the opportunity, because I think so far, given that karst and cave environments have never been on the agenda of UNEA, before there was not a lot of engagement there were not a lot of people with kind of that specific field of expertise that would engage in UNEA, given it was never on the agenda. But now as it got onto the agenda, I think you were able to kind of mobilize really quickly and to ensure a really strong presence during UNEA. But yeah, I see that maybe also Bärbel wants to come in and weigh in on the answer to the question.
Yeah, thank you for this question, and thank you, Patrizia. It was just the same, of course, for us. We were really astonished that to see karst on a platform like UNEA-7. And we did what we could to inform federations. The German federation sent letters to all the federations, speleological federations of the world. We got feedback from many, and we were so thankful that we were not alone there and to see so many people supporting us. But I still think this is just the start. I hope so, and I really hope more people engage and reach out to politicians, tell them what is karst about and why it is so important to protect karst. Hope this answers the question. Thank you.
Thank you, both Bärbel and Patrizia. So I think I'm going to speak about this in my presentation. I will leave it there. I don't see another question from the audience, but feel free, please, to keep sending your questions. This is the right moment to ask how this works, because for all of us, it was really new. And Also, I want to thank Patrizia. We know that you have a tight schedule, so thank you very much for being here. And I will pass the floor to Dr. Inge Retnowati. As you all have been hearing, as you all know, we had a draft resolution for Karst protection coming from the Republic of Indonesia. So Dr. Inge, she's the Director of Biodiversity Conservation of the Ministry of Environment of the Republic of Indonesia. Dr. Inge, good morning, Mexico. Good night. Good evening.
Good night. Hi,
Indonesia.
Anna. Hi, everyone.
Thank you.
Sorry,
Thank you very much.
I cannot turn on my camera.
No worries. Can you share your presentation? You can go ahead and try to share your presentation, and no worries with the camera.
Okay. Yeah. So thank you. I would like to start by explaining the question from the title of this forum.
Sorry,
Why
we
the
are
UN...
sorry, Dr. Inge. We
Yes.
are not seeing your presentation yet.
I'm sorry. I don't use a presentation slide.
Oh,
Is it okay?
Okay. Sorry. Go ahead.
Okay. But I still cannot turn on my camera. Is it okay?
No worries.
Okay. Okay. I start from the title of this discussion. Why the UN is talking about cars and why Kevin should care. First, of course, I thank you to the team that organized this meeting. Is Bärbel Vogel from VdHK, European Union, Anna and other, and also to all cavers and speleologists that support this discussion. On this occasion, allow me to share about Indonesia's concern and what is expected regarding Karst ecosystem. I apologize for not using presentation materials, and I hope I can still convey the material and explanations clearly. First, let me answer briefly why the Karst resolution needs to be raised. Firstly, importance of Karst ecosystem as has been discussed in some opportunities is because it's water related. Its function as a very potential source of groundwater, as evidenced by data on the high utilization of water from within Karst in various countries. Other important things related to biodiversity, climate, pollution, and the socio-economic life of the surrounding community. We also understand that Karst ecosystem in several countries, especially in Indonesia, face challenges from development activities, especially mining, land use change, and agriculture, which result in the degradation of this ecosystem, including decreasing of water quality and quantity. Why Indonesia proposed Karst resolution at the previous UN Environment Assembly last year? It is because Indonesia concerned on the need of effort to sustain the Karst ecosystem. But the process for achieving the resolution needs some understanding, especially among countries that represented by the delegates who have the right to vote in decision making. We can understand that scientific matters are not the only thing that leads to reaching an agreement, but we need to understand that there are political considerations from various countries, and for that reason, negotiations in discussing the script need to be strengthened. In my experience in achieving a lake resolution at the previous UNEA, a solid negotiating team is needed both within Indonesia and with delegations from other countries. Therefore, future efforts to raise this issue need to be strengthened with a global campaign to various countries' governments through various forums before the upcoming UNEA in 2027. One of which is the 2026 UN Water Conference in this December, as has also been mentioned by Ms. Bärbel, UNFCCC, UNCBD, and other potential global forums. In my opinion, we need to have attractive and catchy issues on the Karst ecosystem, supported by scientific explanation, to be raised in that potential events as our campaign for highlighting this concern. I think this is also needs to be done by all countries, not just by other countries, not just Indonesia, and also some related communities, especially speleologists. I think that's all I can share, Anna and other. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Inge. We appreciate also having you here and giving us your time. I will go forward to the next presentation, which is my presentation regarding how was it negotiating Karst in Nairobi at UNEA. So just give me a minute to share my presentation, and please keep telling us where you're from. We will be reading all your countries and speleological clubs, organizations. Okay. Presentation mode. And if anybody on the tech support can just let me know if this is showing.
Yes, everything perfect. Thank you.
Okay, so my name is Ana Celis. I am the co-chair of the German Speleological Federation Working Group on International Governance and also director of Karst Lab Mexico. In this presentation, I will share with you the details of what happened inside UNEA-7 from my perspective, from my own, the ground perspective. I have to say that all this was not done by me, as Patrizia mentioned it. It was a team effort between Bärbel, the UIS, Cave and Karst Protection Commission. So I was there, and I was there with David, who is also here with us. Thank you, David. And my intention is just to showcase the importance of engaging internationally with Cave and Karst support. I have to say upfront that I'm going to be bringing some concepts, some acronyms that resume highly structured categories that are not easy to explain. Some of them I'm starting to understand them, so I will not try to explain them. What I can definitely tell you is that being part of these processes really inform our work when we are on the ground. In order to help you and also help me sometimes, I have added some acronyms on the top right part of my slides. So you can, I hope this is useful for you to follow me, so I don't have to repeat all the acronym every time. So I was part of the team that was on the ground at a historical landmark event at UNEA. This was the first time that there was a negotiation on Karst ecosystems within the UN system. This is the roadmap for how stakeholders engage towards UNEA. This has been also partly explained by Patrizia, who has much more experience, also by Bärbel, who has much more experience than me. So I will not go and explain all this. It will take too much time. I will better focus on the moment I joined Bärbel and German Speleological Federation efforts in moving towards UNEA. This was in October 2025. I joined the first part of the online resolution consultations. So this was an online engagement, and this is important to mention because if you are wondering how to start, you don't have to wait until you go to any other place in the world. You should start. The best part is to use the best way to engage is to start with the online consultations. I will talk about this online participation, and then I will go and speak about the two events that took part in Nairobi, the open-ended Committee of Permanent Representatives. This is the first acronym that I will be repeating, OECPR, and UNEA. So it's 1 week and the second week. Although I also participated in the Global Major Group and Stakeholder Forum, I will leave some comments to the end. So I don't use a lot of time in this presentation. So as I mentioned, these consultations, online consultations, started in October and ended in November. And this is also called intersessional period. During this time, draft resolutions that are presented by the proponent member states, that's the countries, are presented along with a very important document, which is a technical note that is prepared by the UNEP Secretariat. This technical note is really important because this is where we can actually engage with the text. And we, in fact, did, I think, a very good job as a team. As I mentioned before also, Bärbel mentioned it, Bärbel became, as president of the German Speleological Federation and the only NGO accredited at UNEP, became the draft resolution focal point. That means that she was recognized by the NGO major groups as the expert on this field. And also this was really a strategic position to influence and inform the draft resolution. This was my first UNEA participation. I was really surprised during this time online by the very sophisticated diplomatic discourse, by the formal governing dialogue. But as also Patrizia mentioned, coming from the speleological field of knowledge, I was really surprised by a widespread lack of foundation and knowledge about what Karst is and what Karst ecosystems are. I want to add a quick note on what it takes for a member state, for a country to participate in this process. Submitting a draft resolution to UNEA requires a substantial time, investment in time, resources, and consultation, diplomatic lobbying. So this is not an easy task. The ultimate goal for the countries is to see the resolution adopted by consensus at the final day of the session. However, once the negotiations start, as you can imagine, resolutions can move very in different ways. They can either merge or they can be withdrawn entirely. And this is shown in the right side image, where you can see the gray squares are showing the resolutions that were withdrawn, and the other ones are the ones that were adopted at UNEA. So I arrived to Kenya on November 30, one day before the OECPR started. The OECPR is a very intensive event of 5-day meetings, and this happens immediately before UNEA starts. UNEA is the second week. So here we have, during the OECPR, we have plenary sessions and informal working groups. Draft resolutions, such as the Karst resolution, are negotiated through informals or informal sessions. But there are other type of meetings which are called informals. And yes, this is 2 times informal. And this second gets even more language tricky because they deliver something called non-papers, which is basically a diplomatic term to say that there is no paper where whatever was agreed is stated. It's an unofficial document that is distributed, but it's not really official. So how did I, being my first time at UNEA, how did I cope with all this? How did I follow? As I mentioned, this was a teamwork. Being on the ground, also, I realized how important it was to attend every morning meeting. Just before all the negotiations started, there was a morning meeting with all the major groups and stakeholders. I took a lot of coffee just as a justification to have a conversation with people that has been previously at UNEAS, and also representatives of other major groups, which I understood that was really important to engage them with Karst. Also, speaking with delegates allowed me to get information that probably was not secret or top secret, no? But it was really important to understand the overall scenario. And the most important part, to do teamwork with Bärbel and the UIS KCPC, the Karst and Cave Protection Commission. At the UN in general and at UNEP, there is a diplomatic behavior expected. No protests are allowed. You must raise your tag that you can see in the image to ask for the floor and follow the seating arrangements in the rooms depending on the type of meeting. Also, it is important to respect the time to speak. This is a rule for both delegates and civil society. And also, particularly for us as civil society, using the floor to speak must be done only to add to the discussion. Never speak of a topic just because you have the floor. Here you can see the OECPR in action. What happens there? This was between September 1st and 5th. So during negotiations, the text of the draft resolution is shown in the screens, and this is read line by a co-facilitator. Member state delegates are allowed to propose textual amendments directly in real time, and these meetings normally take 3 hours. At the close of each session, this is when the civil society, the major groups and stakeholders can request time to deliver a brief oral statement of 2.5 minutes. And this is subject to the co-facilitator's discretion. Here you can see my good friend, Dr. Annie Kurian from India, delivering a statement during an informal consultation. What we saw during the OECPR is that there was a very concerning pattern emerging in the negotiations, not only for the Karst, and that's why it was really important to attend the morning meetings, the all civil society morning meetings, because this pattern emerged for all the texts under discussion. A block of member states demonstrated a uniform desire to marginalize the civil society groups by referring to all of us just as relevant stakeholders. You might see, well, what does it change? The thing is that omitting or just vaguely referencing to the major groups and the stakeholders by their name, the member states can avoid explicit commitments in case these resolutions are adopted and there's no obligation written in the text to include the civil society during implementation of resolutions. So once this pattern emerged, what we did is to focus on seeking a formal acknowledgement of the role of speleology, considering that this was a very important a landmark resolution. Speaking of Karst, it was really important for us that speleology was part of the document as Karst specialized civil society groups. And this is what we included in our statements. So the second week UNEA started, and this was from December 8th to 12th. I was joined by Dr. David Wichuli, who is a bat ecology and conservation specialist. He joined representing the German Speleological Federation, and it was a great support having him for in the second week in the final push for this resolution. So still hoping a final consensus for the Indonesian resolution. What we did is we continued engaging with more delegations. In fact, we reached 25 national delegates on the ground. And with only 1 week ahead, what we did is to spread tasks. I focused on continued direct engagement, while Dr. David engaged in strategic connections with other NGOs, with familiarization with Karst and the importance of bat conservation related with Karst environments. So, as Bärbel mentioned, is this the final? Is this the end of the resolution or of the process, or this is the start of something else? Well, what we saw at UNEA, from my perspective, is that there were other diplomatic priorities. Also, there was, as always, a competing agenda from a block of member states. So we respect, and first of all, we thank Indonesia, the Republic of Indonesia, for bringing this resolution. I personally witnessed all the efforts that they made on the ground, and we respect their decision to withdraw it, which was obviously not an easy decision. We learned also that, and we confirm, in fact, that data is not enough. We really require more help. So please consider learning more about these international processes. We need also to get better in diplomatic skills. We have enough expertise to elevate this Karst into a recognized cross-cutting priority. But we need to change our language. We need to know when we are speaking with scientists. We need to know when we are speaking with people that is really not aware about what Karst is. And we need to create win-win common grounds to negotiate with key member states. We need to also identify more key member states. Also, the invitation, the last part of my presentation is an invitation to talk about Karst, talk about our language, but let's engage, let's hang out with people that don't visit caves, or probably people that it's not interrelated with the academy. Both at the Green Room side event, which is the top picture, and during the Global Major Groups Forum, we understood and we saw that participants are engaged in a environmental future conversation where karst and caves are not being part, not because they don't care, because they do care, and they have very good questions that maybe for us sound basic, but that just shows us how much we need to work on this. So I appreciate your time, and I look forward for any question related with this on-the-ground participation at UNEA. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you, Anna. This was really a good overview of all of your work in Nairobi. There are two questions. There is one from David. Are there opportunities to design an African-wide capacity building program on caves and karst?
Okay,
any ideas on that question?
Well, I thank David question. In fact, we have been speaking. I mean, we had a good time speaking and about what he does, how he does it, what do we do in Mexico, what we know about other countries, and we have been talking about the importance that we noticed that during UNEA, many of the African countries were not engaging in the karst resolution. So with this, we think, and we have been having conversations after UNEA on how to start bringing attention on this, because there are certain topics that do create attention, like during this side event, for example. We saw a lot of questions related with agriculture, no, and bad communities. So I think there are opportunities to design an African building capacity program for caves and karst. We have been talking about this. Obviously, we need more support, more experience from other countries and other. This is an invitation for speleological organizations, no? The Speleological Federation looking to go abroad. So I really believe that David could be a great actor in putting all this together and finding the connections through the UNEA participation, and finding connection with other organizations from Africa that also approached us during the side event. And in fact, they were really connected with David's work.
Yes, thank you, Anna. And the second question is from Derin Ergün from Hacettepe University Speleological Club in Turkey. Sorry about my bad Turkish. I would like to ask what a university club made of young cavers and speleologists can do until the next UNEA meeting. Maybe you just answered it already in your presentation. Just talk to people, talk to politicians. Do you want to add anything, Anna?
Yes, thank you for the question. I think I couldn't go through all the roadmap, but probably you can look for this image which is on the web. There are different major groups, and one, for example, is the children and youth, which we didn't speak about, and they do have a meeting, a very important meeting just before the start of the OECPR. So how do you involve your club, especially of young cavers and speleologists, is make them aware, start making them aware of the importance and the existence of other environments, cave environments in the world. Try to make sure that they understand that this is a world problem and this is a world global effort for conservation. And probably you, as the representative of this club, start engaging with the children and youth major group and try to find out if they have Karst or cave specialists, because they are really strong major group that, as I could see at UNEA, they have their own meeting, global meeting just before the OECPR. And in fact, they do have representatives speaking in the negotiation of Karst. I approached them. They were not really they were not cavers. They were informed about the importance of the resolution. But I think this is exactly where we can add. That's if we start to see how to engage with the different major groups. One will be the children and youth, because this is the next generation that will take over the conservation of caves and karst. It will be great. But more than focusing on going abroad, try to make sure that your club, the children and the young cavers are getting the importance of this conservation in global terms. That will be my invitation.
Thank you, Anna. I saw no more questions in the YouTube chat, so maybe it's already time to shift to the second part of the session. Please,
Okay,
Anna,
great.
it's up to you again.
Okay, so thank you for being with us. I am reading participants from India, from Turkey, from the German Speleological Federation. Great. I want to thank you for staying in the first part of our event. We are moving towards the panel discussion. And for this, I want to thank all the participants of the first part. As you knew, here was with us Patrizia Heidegger, Dr. Inge, who will stay with us, will remain with us for the second part, and Bärbel Vogel. So we are moving to the second part of the event, which is a panel discussion with also great people, also heroes, I want to say, and I will say why later. I want to say also, give a short introduction of who are they. We will be, we have the privilege of having with us Dr. Inge Retnowati. As I introduced her before. She's the Director of Biodiversity Conservation of the Ministry of Environment of the Republic of Indonesia. We have also with us Dr. Mohamed Abdelrauf. He is the Scientific and Technological Community Major Group Representative of UNEP. We have also with us Sophie Sandstrom. She is the Permanent Observer of the International Union for the Conservation of Nature to the UN. And we have also with us Mr. Pierre-André Cordy. He is the Senior Policy Advisor of the Swiss Federal Office for the Environment. Thank you very much for being with us today. I would like to start with one short question, just to set the ground. So we are here today with basically the cave community, the cave and karst community. This is really important because we wanted to give, after the side event, we wanted to focus on our community, because this is not really the space where we are familiar with. And the first question is directed into that. Knowing that some of you were engaged directly with the Karst resolution, and you have in your organization a background in this, but some of you not directly being engaged with the Karst resolution or with Karst overall, but related with the environment, and that's the reason why you were at UNEA. I would like to ask you for just a 2-minute answer, very short, before we move to the second question for you. Is how did you follow either the resolution or the UNEA-7 process, and what are your lessons learned with considering your past experience at other UNEAs? If we can start with Dr. Mohamed from the Scientific and Technological Major Group, I will appreciate it. Dr. Mohamed, if you want, you can take the floor, and welcome.
Thank you. Do you hear me clearly?
Yes, we hear you. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Anna, and thank you, Bärbel. Very nice to see you again after meeting you in person and also meeting Bärbel virtually. And I also wanted to thank Indonesia for proposing the resolution. It was not known even in the science community measure group. If you allow me, just before I just go on, just very quickly, because I heard a lot of important things. One of the important things which you did, which I really appreciate, organizing a side event during UNEA week. This is very powerful because this is a space, and raising awareness, inviting governments, UNEP staff, other major groups, exchanging ideas. This is one of the important things to do during the UNEA week, and also working across various major groups. This was something very excellent to be done, very intelligent. Because you originally get accredited to one of the major groups. So, like our colleague from Turkey, he can join the youth and children and youth major group, but he can cooperate with NGO, farmers, science and technology. Same way like you did. You are part of NGO, but you did a lot of work on behalf of science and many other major groups. This is very important to raise awareness and also to understand the positions of various major groups on the topic. So coming back to your questions, as far as I said, you asked about after UNEA-7, what need to be done, right? Is that what this was the question? After UNEA-7 ended, what is the next steps?
No, my question was just to open the ground. I think you just did with this overall how this participation interacted with your major group. Okay. What I can do is to pass the floor to the other people, and then I go back with you with a question that talks about what goes next. Yeah.
Okay. Fine.
Thank you. Thank you. I would like to ask Sophie from IUCN, the International Union for the Conservation of Nature, which is an organization who has a lot of experience about not just environment, but Karst environments. Sophie, without moving to the main question for you, can you just give us a sense of how, what were your takeaways from UNEA-7 overall, not specifically the Karst resolution? Just a brief answer so we can hear and put a background of who is who in the room. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Anna, and thank you for having me today. So UNEA-7, of course, took place in kind of a very challenging time for multilateralism overall, which we saw in the fact that a fairly significant number of resolutions had to be withdrawn because it was not possible for member states to reach consensus, and they were running out of time, so they had to focus on the end on the few kind of most important ones. So I think, what's happening right now in general with the UN, within the UN system, is a review of the environmental governance system of the UN as part of the UN-80 initiative, which is the wider reform initiative of the UN. And UNEP and the UNFCCC Secretariat are leading on the work package on this environmental governance reform, work package 27, and they are expected to produce their summary and their recommendations to the UN member states around June for this. So I think that will be very interesting. I've had engagements here with UNEP, and one of the key things they're looking at is how can UNEA be strengthened overall as a format. How can we elevate the standing of UNEA politically? How can we make follow-up of resolutions, for instance, more effective? How can we use UNEA as a forum to hold member states accountable for their implementation of MEAs? So there's a lot of kind of thinking going on there right now, a lot of lessons being learned. And I think certainly it's very good, it's timely to have this now, because the next UNEA is taking place in 18 months, in December of 2027. So it might seem like far away, but I think it's really, now is the time to start working with member states and with other stakeholders to get support for any resolution or initiative that you want to put forward to UNEA, or that you would want to see dealt with at the next UNEA, while keeping an eye out on what's happening with that general reform and how we can use that to advance this topic as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Sophie. We will go back with you with another question. But before that, I want to move to Mr. Pierre-André Cordy, who I thank also with a tight schedule. You are giving us some of your time to be here. And you were not here when we said that we have heroes. We had heroes at UNEA. They still are heroes. We presented Patrizia Heidegger from the European Environmental Bureau. She had to leave, unfortunately. But me and Bärbel, we consider also you are a hero. I want to start with this because it's important. It's when I being at UNEA in Nairobi, when I approached you, you directly told me that you were not engaging directly with the Karst resolution. And this is just to mention also the fact that I was trying to look support. We were trying to look support from everybody, realizing that Karst was not a topic in the mind of many of the delegates. I want to ask you more than how do you see UNEA, and how do you think, how do you consider that we know that Karst geoecosystems really require more recognition. We know that, we saw that on the ground. It's not in textbooks. We saw it. What could be the most effective strategy for us as civil society, but not we are in the line between specialized civil society, science, and we have had this conversation with the scientific and technological major group. How do you see from your perspective that we could engage with national delegations? Because I had the opportunity to approach you directly on the ground, but this is not the case. And in fact, we have some questions and comments in the chat box saying that people cavers try to approach the delegations. How can we engage with our national delegations and elevate the priority that we know that Karst has? It's a difficult question, I know, but please give us your insights about this.
Well, thank you very much, Anna, for this introduction. Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to engage on this very important topic. And thanks a lot also for, I actually joined when you were giving your presentation to give people a feel of what UNEA actually is. And this is where we actually met. And maybe to start out with, I think thinking of a marathon, UNEA is the last mile to the finish, which of course the finish, the last mile defines if you will succeed and have a great marathon run. But of course you have the other miles beforehand to get into a rhythm and to get to that last mile. And just one more word on this last mile. I think your engagement at UNEA in Nairobi during the OACPR, which you mentioned, and the negotiations of UNEA proper have been quite, at least from my perception, have been very useful and very visible, and have made quite a bit of difference in mobilizing the attention and also action from certain delegates while negotiations were ongoing. Though it seems that perhaps prior to now, in the long process that you have shown with the calendar, maybe preparations could be more sustained and strengthened, as you mentioned already, at national level. I think it is really important, and here maybe out of the perspective and you mentioned it. I mean, I was part of the Swiss delegation, so we're representing the Swiss government, and the way we prepare for UNEA is we actually gather all the interests and requests that are coming through our let's say the administrative channels of our administration, including our own office. The technical people in our office actually flag, of course, we consult. Once we have also the list of resolutions that will be brought, we consult internally, and oftentimes colleagues are already aware because they're involved in stakeholder consultations throughout, not only with the view to engage at UNEA, but just because this is the role of in our case, the Office of the Environment. And the specialists that we have in our administration are, of course, aware of the issues, the policies, and the stakeholders, the political economy of different problems and fields of engagement. And what I realized that Karst was not really on the radar, at least in Switzerland. And I think at national level, it is really important to, out of the Karst community, be it more from a scientific perspective, but also the Speleology Society and so forth, the groups that are engaged in this environment, that they try to connect to different levels of administration in order to inform them. And I think this should not only be guided by the UNEA process or by UNEP, but should be established perhaps also in times where way before or between or in the circle, in a UNEA cycle, try to establish these connections and try to understand where it fits from a national perspective, and how to engage in a regular way. This would very much, I think, help to prepare for the next UNEA. I would very much agree with what has been said by the previous speaker. UNEA-8 is coming up soon, and I think drawing the proper lessons learned should actually is the best preparation to perhaps bring a new resolution in the next cycle. So it has been seen before that resolutions had to come 2 or 3 times to actually find a way to consensus. Back to you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for that perspective. Yeah, I couldn't, as I mentioned, I couldn't explain all the roadmap, but it is very important what you're saying at the national level, and also at the maybe after that, or sometimes depending on the context, the regional level. So the invitation for the caving clubs and speleologists that are asking questions in the chat is that try to engage. If, for example, your delegation didn't answer when you made contact during UNEA, so try to find who is these people, who is before them, what kind of events they do attend. There's a huge agenda of the UN where countries have different levels of participation. So probably you can engage Karst first with water, obviously with groundwater, or you can maybe enter by flagship species, or you can enter to different ways. So the idea is to be persistent, So I appreciate this advice that you provide, Mr. Andre Cordy. And following this conversation into what's coming next, I will go back to Dr. Mohammed. You are part of the Scientific and Technological Community Major Group. We were representing the NGO Major Group, and we, as you mentioned in your previous intervention, we had conversations. how do you now go into the future? How do you see how can specialized civil society organizations can work together in different major groups, looking ahead for, we don't know if a resolution coming from Indonesia or a Karst resolution coming into UNEA-8, how can we work together to ensure that our expertise, because we have to say this, we are in the caving community, not all caving community is represented only by science, and in the same way, no? Many caving clubs are aware of Karst, of the importance, but they are not part of science, no? And sometimes science are just looking for the scientific part of the importance of protection. So how could we, instead of having division we didn't have, obviously, that was really great having your support from your major group. How can we work together this agenda for UNEA-8, for example? What are your insights about this, if you would like to share?
Yes, thank you so much. Well, okay, so there is a lot of things to be done because, like previous speakers mentioned, UNEA-8 is not so far, so we need to act from now. And there are a lot of avenues that we can follow. But first of all, let me come to your question about being a civil society and some are scientific societies. So this is a merit. I have, for instance, in my group, citizen science associations. Some of them are part of the science major group. Some other associations are part of NGO major group. I think this is a merit. So if you are in more than one major group, then you will be able to influence the awareness in both major group and also get support. So it has a lot of merits joining more than major group. So it's not something bad. On the other side, no, it's something very good. So you need to join actively in one or more major group and bring the caves and Karst in the intersectional period. And in science, for instance, we have a monthly working telecall, like a webinar where we discuss our plan. We establish different various groups to start working on various topics. Of course, we don't have Karst and cave on the agenda now, but I mean, by joining, raising the issue in some of the telecalls, maybe another resolution comes. So this is one of the avenues through the various major groups. But also out of UNEA, there is the CBR, Committee of Permanent Representatives, where they meet regularly in Nairobi. If some people in Nairobi, they can attend in person. If not, you can attend virtually. You can get a nomination from your major group to participate in some or all of these CBR meetings. You follow what's happening. Maybe you get a chance to raise the issue. So this is an important avenue. Also, we have a group of friends, which is an informal group between member states and the civil society organization, where they plan and discuss in an informal way various topics. So it's a good opportunity to join the group of friends on behalf of any major group and also bring the issue to the table. If we have the resolution, but just to mention, because it's very important as the civil society, if we have a resolution, UNEP have a UNEP a portal called the UNEA Monitoring and Reporting Portal, where they put all the resolution and the measure progress. So this is something that any organization can go and find out more details and maybe prepare like an intervention in one of the CBR or one of the group of friends meeting also. But apart from UNEP, I think this was mentioned earlier by Dr. Inge from Indonesia, which is very important. UNEP and UNEA is very important, but also, like you mentioned, because Karst is linked to water and many other issues, so you need to work also on other international forums, especially biodiversity and desertification, many others. So you can work parallel on the UN level, not only on UNEP, but other forums. That's for me. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your intervention. I would like to connect now back to Dr. Inge. Because in your presentation, Dr. Inge, you spoke about how this developed how this resolution was developed towards UNEA. So following what the delegate representative from Switzerland and what previously Sophie and Dr. Mohamed have shared, how do you foresee the participation of speleology? We don't know if Indonesia is going to bring the resolution again, either for this or for other forums from the ones that you just mentioned. How do you foresee the role of speleology and the overall speleological community as the proponent member state that brought this internationally? If you would like to share your thoughts about this, Dr. Inge. I think we are having probably a bad connection. Well, meanwhile, let me see if the tech support can help reach Dr. Inge. Meanwhile, I would like to invite all this. I'm getting some of the comments that you are putting on the chat box. I would like to invite all of you to be persistent. It's really a matter of having a team working on it. Otherwise, you get really stressed on all these bureaucratic, probably, or diplomatic processes. It is important that we bring out the role that the International Union of Speleology plays here. Some of the delegations from the countries that are participating, at least in this event, have not been very active at this international organization, which is the UIS. So probably you could start from this. And this is something that is brought by a past UIS president, Dr. George Penny, suggesting, okay, why don't we start from there? Why don't you start working nationally to bring the attention of the important role that the UIS plays as the biggest speleological organization in the world? So from that, maybe you can highlight the importance of caves and karst for your country, and then this can probably, it's not a straightforward roadmap, but maybe from there you can start putting this topic into the agenda or the relevant topic for a country. So this is an invitation for everyone that is sharing with us what they have been trying. Also, meanwhile we solve this problem connection with Dr. Inge, I would like to go to Sophie. Sophie from the International Union of Speleology. So you have, as an organization, big connection with cave environment, with karst environments. We have the guidelines for cave and karst protection. Bärbel also mentioned the IUCN Caves and Karst working group inside the World Commission of Protected Areas. If you could share with us, this is probably basic for you, but it's really important. How does IUCN leverages the knowledge of its members, in this case, the speleological communities, for example, or karst specialists, to shape the international conversation? And probably most importantly, how is the voice of this speleological community can be integrated into the UN negotiation process? So how can we play a key role, being already members of the IUCN, having this participation through working groups established inside IUCN? How can we use this in terms of being probably having a bigger role at UN system?
Great, thank you so much, Anna. And first of all, I'm so glad that the Karst and Cave working group is up and running now, and because really, I mean, the best way for members to engage with IUCN's policy work is through being part of a commission, or in a subgroup or a working group of a commission. It takes time. So commission membership, participating in the work of a commission or a working group of a commission, is voluntary. So people contribute their time, but it's really so valuable because that gives you access and network within IUCN with other members working in the field, and also gives you a way to contribute to the policy work of IUCN commissions and working groups can produce, for instance, papers and briefs that they can share with the IUCN Secretariat, who then use these papers and working briefs when we draw up our policy briefs for UN processes or position papers for the MEA COPs. And the previous speaker mentioned, the Biodiversity COP and the Desertification COP as all other key policy forums for yourselves to engage with. So that's basically, I would encourage everybody who has time to join the working group. It's so valuable. And then as a member of a commission, you can also then be part of an IUCN delegation. The commission chair approves those requests, but you can make that request to the commission chair to be part of the IUCN delegation, for instance, for a COP or for UNEA or for the UN Water Conference coming up, I'm not advertising that saying everybody can join because, like I said, the commission chair has to approve it. But it does have some benefits because the registration process, for instance, as an observer, our registration process is a little bit easier. And then also you get the type of badge that sometimes you have more access to some of the formal parts of the meeting that you have with different types of badges. Plus, then you get to interact with the other members of the IUCN delegation, IUCN Secretariat staff, and often also, of course, the IUCN leadership who's there. So I would say, that's a key way. Another really key way for you all to engage with kind of the IUCN policy space is through myself. So do please keep in touch. I would say that, I have kind of a funny role in that I represent the entire organization of IUCN with all its members to the UN here. So I'm the face of this huge organization, a very diverse and rich organization. Saying that, I actually thought that I would get a lot more contact and approaches by members, like bringing certain issues to my attention or asking me to highlight a topic or asking me about information about an upcoming meeting. And I really don't. So I encourage people to do that. I'm here to serve IUCN members. So do please reach out. My contact details. We also have a webpage, the Permanent Observer webpage, where I publish, where the statements I have made are published and information on upcoming processes or policy briefs are published. Do reach out. I think, there's a lot of opportunities for the speleological community this year. And Anna, you went through that kind of very, in a very detailed way. With regards to the water conference, and I have to jump to a different meeting just now, so I'm gonna have to wrap this up. But with regards to the water conference, let me share in the chat if you have not seen the IUCN policy brief that we have produced for the water conference. It doesn't specifically mention Karst, so I can recognize that as a weakness already. But we're doing it as we publish it very early because we have some very ambitious policy asks that we're trying to achieve this year. But we also really want to keep it as a live document. So we keep updating it throughout the year. And we're going to put out an updated version ahead of World Water Day, which is next week. If you have specific comments, things you want to see mentioned in that policy brief, do again reach out directly to me. And when I update it the next time we can make sure those are captured. I think that's kind of the main thing. And thank you so much for organizing this meeting today.
Thank you very much, Sophie. Thank you very much for your time. We will share this document in the chat box so people can get to know how these documents develop and start working together on these online consultations, which I mentioned are a really, really important part. Mr. Andre also mentioned that how important it is to work with time, not wait until the main event or just before some weeks before the main event happens. So I know you have to leave. Thank you very much for being here. And I will just pass to one more question for Bärbel. because participants are asking and wondering how can they engage in certain topics, and Sophie has invited us to get connected with her through the IUCN members. So this is like a roadmap, also different levels of communication. So we have a question. Let me go back to Adriana Heyman. Adriana, I know her. She wants to know, how can I connect with representatives to work on the topic of minerals, mining, the environment, clean energy, fossil fuels, etc.? I know her background is in geology. So what would be the right way to start?
One of the easiest way would be, if she lives in Europe, just join the European Environmental Bureau, because there we always get the best information, or fast and very structured. But it's also easy just to become a member of the German Federation Intergovernment Transnational Working Group. So we are open to everybody who likes to work with us, as well as at the International Union of Speleology, the Karst and Cave Protection Commission. There's a working group too. So just please join us. We share information, we share work. We will be very happy to see you in our meetings. The next meeting of the Karst and Cave Protection Commission will be on Saturday. Just leave us a message if you want to join. There's much work, and we're really happy to share it with you and share expertise. And maybe you already seen our website, karstaware.org. There's information, and for the minerals and metals and all the other topics, the German Speleological Federation, of course, is following those topics too. And the EB is a great help for us. So we are a strong partner. We have a strong partners. Just come and work with us.
Thank you, Bärbel. I would like to ask Dr. Mohammed. You are putting also another way to engage that I would like to ask you to share it through here, because so we can pass the message to the YouTube channel. Thank you.
Yes, very quickly. Yeah. Also, if through one of the accredited organization to UNEP, because we have a resolution on minerals, so you can join any of the accredited organization, and on behalf of this organization, you can work on the global level following the implementation of the resolution in UNEP. And I believe many major groups are following this very carefully. Science, use, business. It's very important for business and industry major group. So it has to be through one of the accredited civil society organization to UNEP, and then you choose one of the major groups that fits your expertise, and you follow the resolution implementation. Sorry. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Mohammed. I see Mr. Pierre Andre is still connected with us. I know we are almost finishing, and you have a tight schedule too. I would just like to go back with you so we can start closing this panel. Some of the comments that we get as a civil society organization and spending a lot of time in the field. I am in Latin America. We have different contexts. I am in contact with speleologists in Africa now, and knowing the context in Europe. I keep saying that we are all facing pretty much in different levels, but the same problems, environmental problems. What would be your closing remarks about these days we are in a position, easy position to lose hope, to lose perspective of how international decisions are taken. I spoke in my presentation about the importance of building diplomatic skills, something that I didn't learn. I didn't have this advice at the university, no, but it has been becoming more and more clear that this is really important, to know how to present information depending on your public, depending on your on the person you have in front. What will be your last message in terms of trusting organizations such as UN and your perspective, because you are the only one right now in the panel in the governmental side? What would you say to civil society organizations such as speleological organizations to how to build these skills, diplomatic skills, and how to keep being persistent on the fact that organizations such as UN will persist on these times? Thank you. Oh, we don't hear you. You're muted.
Apologies.
There you go.
Thank you for this question. I think scientists don't have to be diplomats and vice versa. I think there's a role for everyone. The importance has been of connecting and sharing knowledge and packaging the information is very key. It has been mentioned before. So that's the first point. We talked about the depth of connections at national level and stating the obvious. Of course, having or defining this as a global challenge as well, as you have similar issues in different contexts, it's important to internationalize the message, which is precisely why it is also meaningful to engage at UN level. And also underlining what has been said before, for the Karst community to bring the problems and the issues of their field is really also to connect with ongoing debates on broader environmental issues, be it water issues, be it minerals, as it was extraction, as it was mentioned. And the question or the packaging of the information there is not only to raise the voice on the importance of Karst, but why is it important and how to go about protecting these environments. And the packaging and the messaging needs to be provided in such a way that generalists like myself can actually carry these messages forward and take this role that we have, which is to bring this in the forums and in the negotiations as at UNEA-7 and beyond. So the roles need to be clear, and not everyone can do everything. And it's really the connections, the knowledge packaging and sharing, which is important, and the consistency of that. And I will close on perhaps on a note of it's not hope, but a positive on a positive note. We see that resolutions can pass or pass by consensus or be withdrawn on various tipping points. And I'll just make a comparison with the glacier resolution, which was also at the brink of not passing and being withdrawn. And I think while there is all these preparations and these connections and this groundwork to be done, I also think that harnessing a very strong resolution process for UNEA in the very last months is also very, very much key. And there, I think the country or the member state that presents the resolution needs to be, and Indonesia has been doing it, but I think it has to be repeated in case that the resolution comes around again, is really to reach out for co-sponsors. I think this is very important, to be present at already prior to OECPR in the online negotiations, of course, and then at OECPR, to really engage as much as possible to see how the framing and the content can be worked with like-minded, but also with countries that may have some questions or political reticence to engage. So I think there also that this can be prepared if there's a good carrier, a good vector, and a strong coalition for the resolution. I think this is a strong case for it to actually go through. I won't go more into details on this process, but again, I think there's a lot of positive elements to draw from this experience, and it is just one step on this pathway to show how much Karst needs to be taken into consideration also in the broader perspective. Back to you, Anna.
Thank you very much, Pierre-Andre. I would like to ask Dr. Mohammed, because he's bringing out also another event session that takes place during UNEA that I consider is really important.
Yes. Just very quickly, because also we do one of the most successful things we do as a major group, because we feel it's very important to get the basic knowledge of how to deal, how to reach other colleagues in other major groups, member states, media, UNEP, and so on, how to lobby, many other skills. So we do this capacity building every in person during UNEA week. UNEA-7, we did a capacity building during open-ended CBR week. So it's usually like half a day where you get the basic information, you understand what's happening, and also you get an idea about what will happen during the week and what you need to do. And may I link this also to the African colleague? So maybe if we plan very well in advance, maybe we can convince UNEP, because sometimes we do like a specific capacity building session on a specific topic. So if we can convince UNEP that trust and caves, we need to raise capacities for Africa or any other colleagues. So maybe we can use a chance of UNEA or even in the CBR to have a capacity building, and to have UNEP as a co-sponsor hosting this event. But it needs a lot of work, and it needs preparation early enough in order to convince, but it's possible. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Mohammed. So with this, we are wrapping up the panel. I do apologize on the name of Dr. Inge. She cannot join us. As you saw, she was part of the first part of the event. I would like to say thank you to all our panelists. Really having these different perspectives, different opinions, or different possible routes on how to engage internationally with the topic of caves and karst. It's what we wanted through this event, because so much of this is really not in our radar, and as all of you have pointed out, it is really important, and there are different levels of how to get engaged with this. So hopefully the audience will reach you or us or their own delegates or their own country or the regional delegates. It's just a matter of start finding out a way, and don't do this by yourself. There's so much information, so much time invested in this, which is worth it, but try to build up a team within your club, within your federation. Try to start with this. No, this is the invitation. So thank you all of you panelists for being with us. Thank you. We appreciate really much that you gave us some of your time. And I will pass over the floor to Bärbel so she can give us a closing remark for this event. Thank you.
All I can say is a huge thank you to the panelists, to everybody who presented today. It was incredible. I assume not only me, but also Anna, we learned a lot, and we hope that you did so too. Of course, Indonesia is clearly the biggest hero for Karst in the room, presented by Inge today. I would like to say a big thank you to Georg Nebel, our hidden hero today. He's the webmaster of the German Speleological Federation, and he still works on to solve technical problems to make our UNEA-7 side event visible at our YouTube channel. So you can just check in maybe some weeks, we will be able to see our side event too. And hopefully we will stay in touch and you will keep on working for caves and karst protection. Thank you so much for being with us today. Bye.
Bye-bye.